The rain tapped softly against the bedroom window, steady and rhythmic, as though it had been falling like that forever. In Seattle, it often felt that way. Rain wasn't weather here, it was background. A constant pulse beneath daily life. But that night, for reasons he couldn't name, the sound felt different to Tom Hayward. Sharper. Closer. More insistent. He woke before sunrise, his alarm still an hour away, and simply lay still, staring into the ceiling darkness. Something was wrong. He couldn't point to what. Couldn't explain it in logic. He simply felt it, somewhere between his ribs. Beside him, his wife slept peacefully. Lisa always slept deeply, like someone whose mind was unburdened. Her dark hair spilled over her pillow, and her breath rose and fell in a slow, perfect rhythm. She looked the same as always. Beautiful, composed, just slightly turned away from him. And yet, something had shifted. Tom let the silence stretch before he exhaled and slowly sat up, brushing a hand through his hair. The clock read 5:11 a.m., too early, yet his body felt like sleep was no longer an option. He studied her in the low morning gray light. This woman he had loved since they were both 20. This woman he had shared apartments with, debts with, vacations with, decisions with. They had built a quiet life, not extraordinary, not glamorous, but stable. They had been married 12 years. 12 years is a long time to know someone. Long enough to notice when something small changes. Long enough to recognize when laughter no longer reaches the eyes. Long enough to feel when touch is no longer entirely warm. The last 2 weeks had been the quiet shift. Nothing dramatic. No fights. No tears. Just distance. She still touched him. Still kissed him goodnight. Still asked how his work was. But something in her body was absent. Something essential. Tom didn't know yet that some distances can only form when someone else has stepped in to fill the space. He only knew that the rain sounded different now. They lived in a townhouse in Queen Anne, on a hill that overlooked the sound. Small, stylish, too expensive for what it was, but that was Seattle. Every view cost a sacrifice. And Tom had made his sacrifices gladly. He was a mechanical engineer at Boeing. Lisa was a marketing project manager for a mid-sized tech firm downtown, the kind of company that offered kombucha on tap and yoga at lunch Tuesdays. They lived the stable Seattle life. Morning coffee from a French press. Vanpool commutes or light rail rides. Evening groceries from PCC or Trader Joe's. Weekends walking in Discovery Park or browsing Pike Place Market and pretending they didn't live here long enough to be jaded by it. They had friends, couple friends mostly, the kind who came over with wine and board games and discussions about travel plans that took months to materialize. They had routines. Good ones. But routines can become cages you decorate with throw pillows. 2 weeks earlier, Lisa began working late. That in itself meant nothing. Work got intense sometimes. Deadlines. Launches. Client demands. Tom knew that. He had done late nights too. But there was a tone in her voice when she explained it. Light. Carefree. Almost cheerful. Like she didn't mind being away. Then there were the phone notifications. The soft smiles at the screen. The way she typed, fast, absorbed. Then flipped the phone face down whenever Tom walked into the room. Not dramatically. Just casually. Effortlessly. Like muscle memory. Tom didn't say anything. Not at first. Suspicion felt like poison, and he didn't want to drink it unless he had to. But his body felt it before his mind accepted it. Lisa stirred in bed just as Tom stood to dress. She opened her eyes slowly, stretching into the blankets like a cat. "You're up early," she murmured, voice still thick with sleep. "Couldn't stay asleep," Tom replied, reaching for a shirt hanging on the chair. "You okay?" she asked, concern soft and convincing. He hesitated a second too long. "Yeah," he said. "Just, awake." She rolled onto her back and watched him dress. There was something in her gaze, not guilt exactly, but something he didn't recognize. An interior world he was not invited into. She reached out and lightly touched his hand as he passed the bed. "Coffee later?" she asked. "Sure," he said. But he felt the hollowness as he spoke. He left the house early, commuting through the wet haze of morning. Lisa stayed in bed for another 10 minutes. Then she lifted her phone from beneath the pillow where she had tucked it before sleeping, screen down, and opened her messages. The most recent thread was marked with no contact name. Just, M. "You awake? Did you dream of me?" Lisa smiled. "I did." She typed. "Last night was, a lot. I'm still thinking about it." Her heartbeat quickened. The gray light in the room felt different now. Alive. She had met him at work. Of course she had. Affairs rarely come from grand cinematic circumstances. They bloom from proximity. Familiar faces. Shared projects. Coffee breaks. Laughing at the same frustrations. Little cracks. Michael was a brand strategist, brought in as a consultant on her team's biggest account of the year. He was smart, confident, relaxed, the opposite of Tom's quiet steadiness. And he listened when she talked. Really listened. It hadn't started physical. First came the joking. Then the venting. Then the private conversations. Then came the emotional intimacy, the part no one admits matters more than the rest. When you start trusting someone who isn't your spouse, something shifts. The first kiss had happened 6 weeks ago, in a parking garage, after working late together. It should have ended there. It didn't. The first tangible sign was the perfume. Lisa always wore subtle floral scents. Soft, almost unnoticeable. But one evening, when she came home late, her perfume was different. Stronger. Bolder. And not hers. Tom didn't ask. He simply noted it. Like a pin placed into a map. The next sign was laughter. Lisa used to laugh with him, truly laugh, head tilted back, eyes closing, shoulders lifting in joy. Now, her laughter came from her phone. From text conversations. From the private world she now lived in. Tom heard her laugh at the kitchen counter one night. Light, delighted, breathless. She quickly locked her phone when he entered the room. "Work meme," she said. She never shared it. The next pin went into the map. Suspicion is not a straight line. It spirals. Some days it feels paranoid. Some days it feels like truth. Tom tried to rationalize it all. She's stressed. She needs space. She's tired. We're busy. He told himself these things because he wanted to believe them. But then came the Wednesday night incident, the moment that turned suspicion into certainty. Lisa had gone to take a shower. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Over and over. Rapid, insistent. Like someone waiting to be answered. Tom didn't want to invade her privacy. But the buzzing didn't stop. And something in his chest told him, look. He picked up the phone. The screen was locked. But a preview flashed before it dimmed. Miss you. Wish you were here instead. Last night wasn't enough. Tom felt the air leave his lungs. The rain outside sounded suddenly louder, like static. He put the phone back exactly where it had been. He sat on the edge of the bed. And he waited for the water to stop running. He didn't confront her immediately. Anger would have been easier. But what he felt wasn't anger. It was grief. They ate dinner in silence. Salmon. Roasted asparagus. Lemon slices curling at the edges. Lisa talked about her day, her tone light, casual. Tom listened. But inside, something was breaking. Finally, after they cleaned the dishes, he said. "Lisa, are you happy?" She blinked, surprised. "What do you mean?" she asked, drying her hands with a towel. "In general. With us. With everything." Her eyes flickered away just for a second. "I'm just tired," she said. He nodded slowly. "Okay." They said nothing more. But both knew the truth hung in the room unsaid. The following Friday, Lisa said she had a company offsite. Overnight. Team building at a lodge near Snoqualmie Pass. Tom didn't respond. She packed lightly, too lightly. And she left. But Tom didn't go to work. He got in his car and drove east. The highway curved through forests and thick mist, trees rising like dark spires. He didn't know what he planned to do. But he followed her. And when he turned into the lodge parking lot around 4 p.m., her car was already there. But there were no other company cars. Just one other vehicle. A black Audi. Michael drove a black Audi. Tom sat in his car for nearly 40 minutes. Rain fell in sheets, blurring the windshield. His hands gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles were white. Finally, he got out. He walked to the lodge. He didn't knock. He opened the door. And there they were. Lisa turned first. Wrapped in a blanket. Michael beside her. On the couch in front of a fire. Her expression didn't snap to guilt or horror. Instead, it softened, the way a person looks when something inevitable finally arrives. "Tom," she whispered. And that was the moment. That was the second everything broke. Not when he saw them together. But when he realized she didn't look surprised. She had already left him long before her body ever did. Tom didn't yell. Didn't lunge. Didn't demand explanations. He simply looked at her. "How long?" he asked quietly. Lisa's lips trembled. 6 weeks, she said. Michael watched silently. He knew he had no place to speak. Tom nodded once. "Do you love him?" Silence. 5 seconds. 10. Lisa closed her eyes. "I don't know," she whispered. And that hurt more than yes ever could have. He swallowed hard. "I loved you," Tom said. Not loud. Not pleading. Just true. Lisa's breath shuddered. "I know," she said. Tears forming. I felt like I couldn't breathe anymore. Our life, it was the same every day. Safe. Predictable. Like I was fading. Like I wasn't me anymore." Tom stared at her. "And instead of telling me," he said quietly, "you walked away where I couldn't follow." Her tears fell. Tom nodded slowly. "Okay," he said. And he left. Divorce was not dramatic. It was quiet. Sad. Administrative. Paperwork and signatures. Division of shared objects. Lisa moved into a condo downtown. Tom stayed in the house. The friends reacted the way friends do. Supportive. Awkward. Carefully choosing sides without admitting to it. Tom's routines changed. He stopped making French press coffee. Stopped cooking salmon. Stopped listening to the playlist they always played while cleaning the house. He took long walks. Late-night drives. He picked up boxing again, something he hadn't done since college. The physical impact helped release the ache in his chest. But the rain still sounded different. For a while, she thought she had chosen freedom. Michael moved into her life effortlessly, dinners, laughter, travel plans. For the first time in years, she felt like the world was opening again. But one night, 6 months after the lodge, she woke before dawn, rain hitting her windows, and realized something. Michael didn't look at her the way Tom once had. Not with certainty. Not with devotion. Not with the quiet, steady love that never needed to be performed. Her freedom suddenly felt like emptiness. She reached for her phone. And she typed Tom's name into a message. "I'm sorry. I miss you. Do you think we could talk? Even just once?" She hovered over send. Her finger didn't move. Because she knew. You can choose desire. You can choose excitement. You can choose escape. But once you break trust, truly break it, you don't get to ask for the safe love back. She deleted the message. He didn't date for a year. Not because he couldn't. But because he needed the silence to become something else, not grief, not emptiness, just quiet. He began volunteering teaching robotics at a local high school. The students admired him. He felt purposeful again. One day, another teacher invited him out for coffee after class. Her name was Anna. She had gentle wit, bright eyes, and a laugh that felt real. When they talked, Tom felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Ease. Not excitement. Not rescue. Not escape. But possibility. They walked together to a cafe as rain fell lightly around them, soft, familiar, no longer sharp or painful. For the first time in a long while, the rain sounded like itself again. Soft. Steady. Alive. Life did not end where it broke. It simply changed shape. Tom did, too. Some loves are meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach us how to begin again. And sometimes, the rain changes its sound not to warn us, but to remind us we are still here. Still breathing. Still capable of love. The first time Lisa saw Tom again, it wasn't planned. It was late afternoon in Capitol Hill, outside a bookstore cafe, the kind that smelled of old pages and fresh espresso, where people wrote novels they might never finish. Tom was standing in line, a book in his hand, talking quietly with someone. Anna. Lisa recognized her immediately, not from knowing her, but from feeling her place in Tom's life. Anna was warm-looking. Open-faced. The kind of woman who listened not because she wanted to respond, but because she wanted to know. Lisa stopped walking. For a moment, the noise of the street faded. Seattle existed in shadows and headlights around her, but she stood still, watching her former life from the outside, like pressing her hands against glass. Tom was laughing softly at something Anna said. Lisa hadn't heard him laugh like that in years. Not even before the affair. It was the laugh of a man who had found gentleness after the storm. Her chest tightened. Not in jealousy. In recognition of what she had broken. Michael was still in her life, but he was not hers. He liked freedom. He liked movement. He liked being desired. He liked her, but not enough to anchor anything to her. She had mistaken passion for connection. Love for escape. The high had faded. The spark had settled. And all that remained was reality, two people who were never meant to build a life together. Michael traveled often. Sometimes for work, sometimes just because staying in one place too long made him restless. And when he was gone, the condo was quiet. Too quiet. Lisa spent her evenings looking out over the city, lights flickering across the skyline. She would watch the ferries move across the water, slow and steady, and think about Tom's hands, the way they used to hold her like something certain. She didn't regret leaving. She regretted leaving without speaking. She regretted silence more than betrayal. You can apologize for a wound you caused. But how do you apologize for not letting the other person even understand why? Anna wasn't a replacement. She was something else entirely. She didn't ask questions about the past. Not at first. When Tom was ready, he told her, simply, quietly, without anger, without blame. I lost her before I realized she was gone, he said. And Anna simply touched his hand. Not to claim him. Not to heal him. Just to be there. Their relationship moved slowly. No fireworks. No dramatic declarations. Just warmth, built gently. Tom didn't know if he was ready to love again. Anna didn't ask him to. She only made space. And space can be a kind of grace. 3 months after the bookstore moment, Lisa finally dialed Tom's number. She didn't expect him to answer. But he did. "Hey," he said. His voice was calm. Stronger than before. "Tom," her breath caught. I didn't call to ask for anything. I just wanted to say I'm." "You don't have to," Tom interrupted gently. Lisa closed her eyes. Tears slipped down her cheeks. "But I do," she whispered. "I was drowning. And instead of reaching for you, I ran. I'm sorry." There was a long silence on the line. Not cold. Just real. "I know," Tom finally said. "And I hope you find something that feels like home. Truly." Lisa pressed her hand to her mouth. He didn't hate her. And that made it hurt so much more. "Thank you," she whispered. They didn't say goodbye. They didn't need to. The call ended softly, like a chapter closing itself. 2 weeks later, Michael packed a bag and told Lisa he was going to Portland for a bit. She didn't ask when he would be back. He didn't offer an answer. They both knew it was the end. But the apartment didn't feel emptier. It just felt honest. One evening, Tom and Anna stood on the pier, watching the sun sink into the Sound. The air smelled of ocean salt and cedar. The city lights blinked on one by one like stars reversed, light rising from earth instead of falling from sky. "I'm not perfect," Tom said quietly. Anna smiled and took his hand. "I don't need perfect," she said. "I just need honest." He looked at her, really looked. For the first time since everything broke, the tightness in his chest loosened. He leaned his forehead against hers. The rain began to fall, soft, gentle, familiar. But now, its sound was warm. Not a warning. Not a memory. Just rain. Just life. Just now. Some endings are not meant to be undone. Some love stories do not return, they transform. Lisa learned that freedom is hollow without truth. Tom learned that hearts do not stay broken, they change shape. Anna learned that patience is a language all its own. And Seattle kept raining, as it always does. But the sound had changed. Because they had changed. Fall came to Seattle slowly, as it always did, not by cold, but by color. Maples in Volunteer Park turned red, orange, the kind of shades that looked unreal under the slate-gray sky. People drank more hot drinks. Streets glistened. The air smelled like rain-soaked leaves and espresso. Time was moving. Tom felt it. He was not healed, healing is not an event, but the wound no longer swallowed him whole. It was part of him now, like an old scar that ached in certain weather. He had learned to live with it. He had also learned to smile again. Something gentle had settled between him and Anna, not passion burning bright and wild, but a steady flame that warmed quietly. They cooked together. They walked the lake trail. They didn't force anything. Tom liked that. He liked not forcing. One evening, she stayed over. Her hair spread across his pillow. The same bed where Lisa once slept. He expected it to hurt. It didn't. It only felt different, and difference was enough. When he woke before dawn, he didn't feel that heavy, terrible shift in his ribs anymore. Just rest. Just air. Just mourning. Lisa started going to therapy. Not to win Tom back. Not to undo anything. But because she couldn't run anymore. Her therapist asked her once, gently. When did you first feel like your life didn't belong to you anymore? Lisa didn't answer right away. But that night, she sat on her balcony in a blanket, watching the ferries cross the dark water. Lights blinking like lonely stars. And she remembered. It wasn't when she met Michael. It wasn't when she drifted from Tom. It was long before that. It was when she stopped saying what she needed. When she replaced truth with quiet. When she decided protecting peace was easier than risking conflict. She had silenced herself. And then blamed Tom for not hearing her. The realization cut deep. Mistakes rarely have villains. Only wounds that went unspoken. It happened in December. Cold, sharp air. Holiday lights in windows. A quiet Sunday morning at Pike Place Market. Tom and Anna were standing at a flower stand, she was choosing tulips, he was pretending to understand the difference between peach and salmon rose. And then, Lisa. Holding a small brown paper bag with oranges and rosemary. Wearing a long beige coat. Hair down. No makeup. She looked older, somehow. Not physically. Just realer. More human. Their eyes met. The world did not stop. But something inside them did. Anna noticed the stillness. Tom spoke first. Lisa. Her name. Soft. Not angry. Lisa swallowed. Hi. Anna watched quietly, she wasn't threatened. There was no reason to be. They stood in the space where a marriage once lived. Not lovers. Not enemies. Not strangers. Simply two people who had shared a life. How have you been? Tom asked. Lisa's breath shivered in the cold. Trying, she said honestly. Really trying. Tom nodded. I know. A silence settled, not uncomfortable. Just full. Lisa looked at Anna, and her voice was warm when she said. You're good for him. Anna smiled, real and kind. I try, she said. Lisa nodded, tears forming, not dramatic, just there. I loved you, she told Tom quietly. I didn't know how to stay. Tom's eyes softened, not with desire, not with regret, but with something like peace. I know, he said. And I loved you too. Even when we were lost. Lisa smiled, small, sad. Then we were something, she whispered. Tom nodded. We were. No one asked for more than that. No one reached. No one begged. No one apologized again. The moment did not heal the past. It simply placed it in its proper place. Behind them. They parted without drama. No long stares. No turning back. Just three people in a market on a winter morning. Life continuing, Tom and Anna sat by the fireplace, wrapped in a blanket. You're quiet, Anna said softly. Tom nodded. Just remembering. You okay? He thought for a long moment. Then he smiled, small, real. Yeah, he said. I actually am. And this time, the truth didn't hurt. She watched the rain outside her window. For the first time since everything collapsed, she didn't feel like drowning. She didn't feel free either. She just felt still. And stillness, she realized, was a beginning. She wasn't healed. But she was finally ready to be. Seattle changed, as cities always do, but slowly. Coffee shops closed, new ones opened. Condos climbed into the skyline like glass ships. Rain remained the same. Tom was 40 now. He had a few lines near his eyes, not from sadness, but from laughing. His hair was a little shorter. A little grayer at the temples. He wore it well. He lived in a small house in Ballard now, wood floors, warm light, plants Anna kept alive. There was a handmade crib in the corner of the bedroom, painted a gentle sage color. Their daughter, June, was 3. She had Tom's quiet concentration. And Anna's spark of wonder. Right now, June was sitting on the kitchen floor in pajamas with little foxes printed on them, playing with wooden blocks, making towers that always fell but never upset her. Tom was brewing coffee, the slow kind, the patient kind. Not French press. He didn't return to that. Some doors, once closed, stay closed. Anna walked in barefoot, hair tied loosely, a soft robe wrapped around her. "Morning," she whispered, touching his back. He turned his head and kissed her lightly. "Morning." No grand passion. No breathless intensity. Just warmth. Just familiarity. Just love that stayed. And that was enough. Lisa lived in Portland now. Unexpected? Maybe. But sometimes starting over requires new streets, new air, new weather. She worked in a small branding agency, nothing large, nothing flashy. A place where people knew each other's dogs by name. Where everyone watered the same office fern. She didn't date seriously for a long time. Not because she was afraid. But because she wanted to be sure that next time she chose. She chose with clarity, not loneliness. 2 years ago, she met a man named David at an evening pottery class. He wasn't fire. He wasn't escape. He wasn't intensity. He was steady. He was patient. He didn't want to fix her. And he didn't ask to be her rescue. He just stayed. And slowly, she let herself stay too. One morning, while shaping clay on a wheel in their small garden studio, sunlight filtering through the leaves, she realized. I am happy. Not excited. Not breathless. Just, at peace. For a woman who once believed love was supposed to burn. Peace was something sacred. Tom received the letter in spring. A plain white envelope. No return address. But he recognized the handwriting immediately. Lisa's. He sat at his desk for a while before opening it, not out of fear, but respect. Some things deserve a quiet moment. Inside, a single page. Tom. I hope you and your heart are well. Truly. I don't want to reopen the past, that chapter is written, closed, and resting where it belongs. I just want to thank you. You loved me at a time in my life when I didn't know how to love myself. And losing us forced me to find the parts of me that I abandoned along the way. I didn't understand then how much silence can wound. I do now. I hope your life is full, not perfect, just full. I hope it feels like home. With a quiet and honest heart. Lisa. Tom read the letter twice. Then he folded it carefully and placed it in a drawer, not to hide it, but to keep it. Not as grief. Not as regret. As history. A part of the road he had walked to get here. Anna found him in the room a few minutes later. She didn't ask who the letter was from. She didn't need to. She took his hand. You okay? She asked softly. Tom nodded. Yes. And he meant it. 5 years since everything broke. Now, everything was simply, alive. Tom picked up his daughter and stepped outside onto the porch. The air smelled of cedar and the ocean. The sky was pale silver, the kind of morning that promised rain but didn't rush to deliver it. June leaned her head against his shoulder. Daddy, she whispered. Is it raining? He listened. No. Not yet. No, he said softly. Just quiet. June nodded, content. Anna joined him on the porch, leaning into his side. Together, they watched the stillness of morning, the calm before the clouds opened. The rain would come soon, it always did. But now, its sound would not break him. It would simply be the rain. And life would go on. Love doesn't always last. But sometimes, the end of one story is what allows another to begin. Quieter, warmer, and more true. It was late autumn when Tom saw her again. Not in person. But in a moment that felt close enough to touch. He was sitting at a small cafe near Pike Place Market, waiting for Anna to finish her appointment nearby. The rain was tapping on the large window, slow and steady, like fingers remembering a melody. June was at preschool today. The cafe was warm. Soft jazz. Smell of cinnamon and roasted beans. People talking quietly. Tom sat alone at a corner table, reading a book he'd been trying to finish for months, not because it was difficult, but because life these days was full, and full things take time. He looked up once, just idly, the way one does when eyes need air, and saw her. Across the street. Under a red umbrella. Laughing at something the tall man beside her had said. Lisa. She looked different, and yet exactly the same. Her hair was a bit shorter. Her coat a heavier wool. She carried herself differently, the way people do when they no longer apologize to the ground for existing on it. Tom didn't move. He didn't duck. He didn't call out. He just watched. She didn't see him. And that felt right. Standing beside her was a man, broad shoulders, kind face. The sort of man whose presence didn't take space but simply fit into it. That must be David. Lisa touched the man's arm lightly as they spoke, a gesture of ease, not need. Tom recognized that kind of love. The kind that stays. The kind that grows slowly. The kind that doesn't hurt. He exhaled, not relief, not longing. Something gentler. A release. Like putting down a box he didn't know he was still carrying. The barista placed his coffee down on the table. Everything okay? She asked softly. Tom blinked, smiled a little, as if returning from somewhere far but familiar. Yes, he said. Everything's good. And it was. Anna arrived a few minutes later, cheeks pink from the wind. She slid into the seat across from him and placed her cold hands into his warm ones, the way she always did. You look like you're thinking about something, she said with a soft smile. Tom considered telling her, not out of guilt, but honesty. Then he realized something. He didn't need to. It wasn't a secret. It wasn't a wound. It wasn't a ghost calling him back. It was simply a moment. A page turning. I was, he said. But I'm here now. Anna nodded, squeezing his hands. Good. She meant it simply. He loved the way she never made emotions dramatic. Never demanded explanations to feel safe. Never measured love in confessions, but in presence. They sat together, sipping warm coffee while cold rain streaked down the glass. No storm. No tension. Just two lives, steady and real, sharing a quiet morning. Lisa and David ducked into a bakery. They ordered something sweet to split, one plate, two forks. Lisa laughed again, that free, unguarded laugh she hadn't had in her 20s. She didn't think of Tom. Not because she forgot him. But because she no longer needed to remember him with pain. Some stories don't end in bitterness. Some end in evolution. Two people who once loved each other learning, separately, how to love themselves. Inside the cafe, Tom lifted his cup to his lips and felt warmth move through him. Outside, rain kept falling, steady, familiar, endless. And this time. It didn't sound like goodbye. It sounded like healing. The world had changed again, the way time always insists it must. June was 16 now. Taller, thoughtful, with hair always a little messy, as if the wind loved her too much to leave her alone. She had Tom's quiet eyes, observant, steady, calm, and Anna's warmth, the kind that made people feel safe just standing near her. It was late summer. The kind of evening that smelled like cut grass and warm sidewalks. Tom stood on the porch, watching June gather her backpack from the car. She had just returned from a weekend art workshop, charcoal sketches, paint under her fingernails, and that look teenagers get when they realize the world is huge and bright and waiting. "Good trip?" he asked. June nodded, smiling just a little, not dramatic, just real. "Yeah. Really good," she said. "I want to show you something." She sat down on the porch steps and pulled out a drawing pad, thick paper, edges worn from travel. She flipped to the last page. It was a portrait. Not of a person. But of a moment. A man and a woman, standing under a streetlight in the rain. The light soft. Their faces quiet. Not touching. Not speaking. Just letting go. Tom recognized it instantly. Ballard Bridge. 5 years ago. The night everything changed. His breath caught, not from pain, but from memory. "How did you?" he began. June shrugged gently. "You and Mom don't hide things." "Not really." Her voice was soft. Respectful. "I've heard pieces, over the years. Not details. But feelings." Tom sat beside her. June continued. "I don't think it's a sad picture," she said carefully. "I think it's about choosing to grow. And about how sometimes the bravest thing people can do is not hold on, but step away." Tom looked at her, really looked. This girl, this young woman, had a heart tuned to emotional truth in a way he never had at her age. He nodded. That's exactly what it was. They sat quietly. Warm evening. Soft sounds of neighbors. Wind in the leaves. After a moment, June spoke again. "Do you ever miss her?" Tom didn't hesitate. "I don't miss what we had," he said gently. "But I'm grateful for the part of my life she was." June absorbed that, thoughtful. "That makes sense." She rested her head lightly on his shoulder, something she hadn't done since she was little. Tom closed his eyes. Not to escape. But to memorize. In Portland, Lisa stood in her small backyard garden, hands in the dirt, tending to late summer lavender. David was inside, finishing dinner. Music played quietly from the kitchen, something soft, wooden, simple.